Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Temple City Council to hold a workshop for Thursday, October 6th. It is currently just a couple of minutes after 2 o'clock. So before we kick off into the formal part of the meeting, this is time for public comments. You know, wishing to address the council during this workshop may do so. And we have Caroline Wagner. Carolyn, or did you just sign in to let us know you're here?
Well,
Are you speaking?
yeah, I called the secretary to request public comment.
Okay.
And I signed in.
You want to do it during the workshop or during the regular meeting at 5?
Both.
Okay, then this is your time.
Okay. So I don't know, do I just stand here or what?
Sure.
I've never done anything like this
No.
before. So it's my understanding that Lee is for the project that's going up on the corner of West Adams and Cedar. And it was my understanding that legally they had to give us 10 days notice. That did not happen. Our homeowners association did not receive their notice, and I have copies of it. They did not receive their notice until October 3rd. It was dated for September 30th. That's when they received their notice.
Okay.
Other neighbors, we all got together. There's a lot of opposition, but they sent me a notice today saying that there was only like 3 people voting. And then they finally updated it.
Who's they? Is that the
So
the HOA
gentleman-
members?
No, the gentleman I spoke to was
I'm happy
Chandler.
to chime in
Okay.
whenever necessary.
Yeah, we will. We'll get to you.
This is Brian, Ms. Wagner, you spoke to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the map doesn't match and these don't match. We were not given 10 days notice to do anything. So, and then also my other concern, and maybe they can answer that, the future land use map for the city's comprehensive plan,
Mhm.
it shows that area listed for mixed use. But they're trying to put residential in there, so I'm trying to get clarification on that as well.
Okay. Okay, very good. We'll have Mr. Chandler address that. Are you ready to do that now? And then possibly in the
Sure.
main meeting?
Absolutely. I don't have any slides of it. We've spoken to Ms. Wagner a few times and she and other neighbors, primarily in the Sage Meadows neighborhood,
Okay.
they're the closest neighborhood to the proposed 9.5 acre, 180 apartment unit development, the site plan, which is on your agenda for tonight.
Right.
And so just to address the notification, and, you know, we try to get the information out there as much as we can, exceeding state law, putting information on the website, but we understand that for first time, you know, homeowners who are first time coming into a process like this,
Mhm.
they're not necessarily going to look through all their codes and understand that the 10 days is for notification to the newspaper and sending out the notices. It does not, unfortunately,
Not a
address receipt. It's just a matter of, hey, we have to have them sent out and we have to have it in the newspaper, you know, prior to the 10th day before the meeting. And so I can confirm we've met all of them.
Okay.
So now in terms of the protest, because we've been communicating with Ms. Wagner and she's done a really good job, I think, of communicating with her neighbors in terms of, okay, what is the status? So we have an updated slide showing that I believe, you know, or at least last I checked, there were 7 neighbors within the 200-foot buffer. Many other neighbors responded outside the 200-foot notification area. But in terms of triggering a potential protest
Mhm.
or a 4/5 vote at city council,
Right.
we've received 7, and that represents 18%, and the 20% is the threshold. And so that's what I sent you earlier, but I think we received another one that pushed it closer to 18%. So either
Definitely
way,
not over the 20%.
not over 20%, and it's also a bit confusing because this is just a site plan. So there was a zoning in 2019 that established this mixed use project, retail, multifamily. This is the first phase of the multifamily, so the site plan had to come back forward, and that's what's before you all. And so can certainly understand you and your neighbors not, being concerned about apartments there, but we've worked with the developers to try to address the impact on the neighbors, landscape buffer, trails, lighting. So just in a nutshell, that's where we are. We'll give a full presentation to the council.
Can I ask a question?
But the use has already been approved. This
Uses
isn't
are-
a zoning case. That's
It's
been
a site plan case.
Right. Okay.
To look at how the circulation works, they're gonna have 2 access points on Cedar. And then future, actually, they've agreed to build a private drive connecting to Adams that would really benefit the future retail that comes in, which we don't know when that would be, and it'd be a different developer. But that'd be a 3rd access point. They're working with TxDOT to get approval for that location. But so it's one of those, I understand your concerns. It's also 180 units, so it's a much lower threshold of apartments than we often see for 10 acres.
I know that the zoning's already been changed, but do you want to address the future land use map?
The future land use map, yes, shows mixed use. And honestly, this is exactly what's envisioned in a mixed use project. Higher density residential and a mix of retail. So the retail isn't before us right now, but the rest of the 54 acres, I believe, is zoned for retail. And there's a limit of 15 acres that can be multifamily. So with a balance of 5 acres, it's not likely you would see additional multifamily. The rest, without rezoning, the rest would.
I just wanted to bring it to their
Retail.
attention because what I'm looking at, it looks like it goes all the way up to the end for that unit. So there's not gonna be, in that, the land use map that I looked at, it's not gonna have any room for shopping until it goes to the other side, which is a totally separate section.
Other side of the creek.
Other side of so there's 317. So
Yes,
it's probably
no,
down the other side.
there's additional 44 acres on that site for retail.
I just wanted to bring it up so they can look at it and make sure nothing was an oversight. And then also, I
Sure.
just have one other question, is how do they figure I've been in education for 16 years, so I know how to figure percentages. So if you have 25 units sent out and
It's,
you have
right.
5 people respond, that's 20% right there. So how did they get there? And I know, because I've talked to 7 of my neighbors directly.
yeah,
A
and
lot of them have said they've responded, but 7 of them, I have copies of their responses.
right, and that's where it gets a bit confusing as well. You're asking great questions, and we will have to explain that in a little more detail when we show the exhibit.
But the only ones that count are the ones within the 200-foot buffer.
And so
So I could send one in,
you could say
Right.
that, and
but it wouldn't count.
and the rest of the council members would see that and consider it. And they might say, well, you're 2 miles away.
Mhm.
Sorry, there's no impact on you, but maybe you guys would say, no, we think that's a legitimate concern.
Sure.
So everybody has their concern addressed, in the packet, and those packets get updated. Liz does a fantastic job. We get a notice in, we send it to the assistant city secretary. She loads it into the packet immediately. I mean, like literally immediately.
Yeah, I loaded, I think 3 today.
Yes.
I haven't talked to anyone outside of the 200 mile. I know it's gonna,
Yes.
it's gonna affect all of us even outside, but I haven't spoken to anyone outside of the 200.
Sure.
So I'm talking inside. I've spoke
That's-
directly to 7 people.
That's a good
so
good strategy.
we're confused at their-
Yep, good strategy to talk to those folks, but ultimately, it's based on their portion of land inside that 200 feet. So some of them are gonna have a backyard strip, and only that portion is calculated in the entire 200-foot buffer, and the map will show that. I'll try to go through that so that it's clearer. But it also, the code does not exclude right-of-way. So when you've got drainage easements and right-of-way, streets, which is the case in this particular situation, that is counted, and that's
The 200
just
feet.
part of the code. So it's and not to mention that 2 sides are owned by the current property owner, the developer, and so clearly they're not being opposed to their own project, and so it does.
It's not 20% of the numbers of property owners. I think that's what you were getting at. It's whoever owns 20% of the land that's within that 200-foot.
Yeah, it was confusing. So at least I got that question answered, but I guess all the rest will be addressed this evening when several of my neighbors will be coming.
Yes, and if not, then absolutely get up and ask.
Brian, when was the zoning approved? Ballpark?
2019.
Thank you.
And this will be subject to a public hearing tonight. So we can do all of this again, along with you and your neighbors during the public hearing. Whenever we get to this item on the agenda tonight, then at that point, everyone will have an opportunity, whether it's you or you and 5 or 6 other neighbors is fine.
So she doesn't need to sign up for public comments, just.
No, it's a public
I
hearing.
just wanted to make sure if they'd be able to talk, because I was advised that someone had to sign up for it so that we could speak.
Some items, whenever we have what's called the public comments, that's the case, but items like this have a public hearing. And what that means is whenever we get to that item on the agenda, whoever wants to speak on that item may do so.
I didn't mean to come crash your 2 o'clock workshop. They told me to just get this out there before the workshop. So that's what I was advised to do, the legalities of it. So they would know that it possibly wasn't followed. And
Yep.
I guess I've done what I was supposed to do. There's no need for me to take up more of your time. And
No, and this was appropriate. This was the right time to bring it up. So no problem.
Thank you for coming.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. We'll probably see you at 5.
Yes, definitely.
In the news. Okay, very good. Then, item 1 on the work session. Item 1 on the work session is discuss if maybe needed any regular meeting, agenda items. For tonight's meeting, I have a note here to pull item D on the consent. And, it's, I believe it's being pulled just for voting purposes.
Did you say B or
D's and dogs.
D?
It's, there's some additional language tweaks that have occurred between the original, memo being written and then council meeting tonight. So there's, I think, two items that we'll cover in a really short presentation.
Okay,
Uh,
and then we'll vote on it
and then
separately.
we'll vote on it separately.
Very good. You can do that. Council, is there anything else that needs to be discussed or pulled from the consent or staff? Does anybody have anything they'd like to talk about now? No? Very good. All right. We'll move on to item 2, which is to receive a presentation from the Cesar Chavez Foundation regarding the Village at Meadow Bend renovation project. Ms. Glover.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm just gonna introduce Ellen Moskalik, that's a tough one, from the Cesar Chavez Foundation, and Mark Mayfield from the Texas Housing Foundation, and they're going to present the item to you.
Very good. Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you. And I also have with me Sam Solis, who's the property manager for Village at Meadow Bend, and Tim Smith,
Yes.
our financing consultant.
Like Tim Davis.
Or just, yeah, sorry. I just cover over. I know. Now.
There it is.
Now.
The arrow.
I got you on one slide.
See if I can get closer.
That's hard to get it right off.
There you go.
There you go.
Awesome, thank you. So when I was here in May, I was telling you guys what we wanted to do, but that was before we received financing, and I am very happy to say that everything has fallen into place, and if things go as planned, we'll be closing on December 8th and start the construction in January. So this is the property. It's 237 units, very spread out, and 41 buildings, and it's flats as well as townhomes. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. So the property was developed in 2003 and 2006. So even though it has been very well maintained, it's just showing signs of age now. And so we want to be able to go in and do some substantial renovations to the units. So as I mentioned, it's 237 units, and there's also a 5,000 square foot community room, and there's 2 pools in the playground and 2 on-site laundry facilities. And all apartments have basic amenities such as central air and heat and washer dryer hookups. So we plan to go in and put in roughly 72,000 per unit in renovations. And the property will also be brought into full compliance with UFAS and ADA accessibility requirements. There are several path of travel issues because the site is so large, and we're going to regrade them and bring them all up to code. So Cesar Chavez Foundation has been around since 1966. We're a vertically integrated company that does development all over the Southwest. We have 5,000 units altogether, a third of which are in Texas and a number of cities. And we, as I mentioned, are vertically integrated, meaning that we have development, construction, and property management all in-house. So we are happy to be partnering with the Texas Housing Foundation, and they will be initiating the bond that we will be getting. And so we want to combine the bond with the 4% tax credit transaction. And once we finish the rehab, all of the units will be affordable to people making 40, 50, and 60% of the area median income. So far, we applied for the Texas Bond Review Board. We were awarded a bond placement in June. We submitted our application to TDHCA for the 4% credits, and we held our TAFRA hearing in September. So now our two big milestones are to hopefully get y'all's approvals today and then proceed to closing and begin construction. All of our tenants are going to be able to be relocated on site. Our first phase will be to empty out units that folks will then be temporarily placed into. So no one's going to have to go to a hotel. No one's going to be having to, be relocated.
What's the current occupancy,
It's
Right now on phase one, because of the relocation, we're at 88. But that's because we're in the mix. We have 7 people that we're still transferring from the temp housing units into their new permanent units. That should be done by the end of this month. And on phase 2, we're at 98%. So we generally maintain.
You'll be working around people
Yeah.
the whole project, aren't you?
Yes, yes. So we are going to be hiring a rehab liaison. So they'll be the go-between between me as the property manager and our construction supervisor. So we'll have that little bit of a buffer. But I've been there 5.5 years. So, I will be involved the whole way through. We'll be having a community meeting within the next 30 days, I believe it is, to inform, just so that we can go over everything. So we've already transferred 2 units, and then the rest should be transferred by the end of the month. So.
Okay, thank you.
So our request is for 3 things. We need a resolution of support, cooperation agreement, and then also a letter acknowledging the TEFRA hearing.
She's pausing on this slide. Does anybody have any questions here?
And that's it.
So are the people that live there, are they based on their income or just the rent is the sliding scale based on?
It's an income restricted property. So when we initially qualify them upon move-in, it is income restricted. So they have to fall under the income restriction, but they also have to make 2 times the rent. So, and the way we qualify them is they have to make 40%, 50%, or 60% of area median income. And that determines which unit they qualify for. Initially, we did have market units. We are going to be going away from market units. So it is going to be strictly affordable.
Market. Okay, so I was wondering. And I like your after school program.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and we're starting it back up again, and we already have people interested. We have a new teacher. She's been there. I think this is her 3rd week, and she's already had interest. So
Is it the CISA wedding?
It is. And so they meet after school for about 3 hours. She greets them as they get off the bus. We had 15 people before. Whenever we had it before COVID hit, we always had a wait list for the program. So we're hoping to get back to that.
Great.
So.
Anything else?
Well, yes, we're honoring our local Temple school superintendent at council today. He's the superintendent of the year for Texas. So if you haven't, please work with TISD.
We deal with Gil Hawley at Temple ISD.
Oh, good.
During COVID.
Say no
he was-
more.
Yeah, during COVID, he was
Say
very
no
helpful
more.
getting
He's
us food.
wonderful.
Yes, so.
Good.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, we're gonna flip flop 3 and 4. And go ahead and receive departmental updates from Housing and Community Development, Fire and Police.
I have good news for you guys.
What'd you bring in, John? What'd you bring in?
Emma.
Yeah,
baseball cards and stickers.
Oh, you are so
Wall Street.
No trip.
Hope Sean comes with a bow on. Of course.
No ammo.
We'll be in
I do like stickers.
And the baseball cards are really cool.
Not like candy or ammo.
Okay, so I want to just run through some of our major accomplishments over the last 6 months. We had our first home maintenance academy in May, and we had 12 people that had signed up for it, and only 6 were able to actually go through the class. But it was actually a blessing because the smaller class size really gave us an opportunity to run through all of the different exercises with them and sort of work out some of the kinks with a smaller group. And they had just the greatest time. Kirby, our neighborhood revitalization manager, made that little sort of half wall, and they were able to do electrical, like install plugs and fix holes and do all kinds of different things with that. And then they also had a commode where they switched out the insides of a commode and figured out how to do that. And at the end, they got a set of tools, and you can sort of see it on this table right here, upper left-hand corner. They got a full set of tools to go and be able to fix the things in their home. So it was really, really successful.
Nancy, this was the program that y'all were gonna have classes like once a month or once ever.
Yeah,
And you
it
end
was, we had
kind of
started off,
Shortening that.
yeah, it was
Did
gonna
that
be
work well?
over 10 weeks, once a week, and we didn't have any takers on that. So we thought, okay, let's just retool it, squeeze it down into one day, and that worked out much, much better. So that'll be the pattern that we use in the future.
Okay.
We also had our Jackson Park Dream Day event, and for those of you that are not familiar with our Dream Day events, we use these to try to recruit people from within the neighborhoods to do different projects, and hopefully to eventually become part of neighborhood coalitions or lead a coalition. And we basically put up these big posters throughout the neighborhood that show our different projects that have been identified in the neighborhood planning process. And we say, imagine this being here. Would you like to help us lead that? And then it's sort of a recruitment tool. And then when they come to the table and show us that they took a selfie by all of the different sites, they're entered to win a prize. So this one was great. We had about 40 people come, and they had a really, really good time with it. And we had, I think, 3 people voice an interest in starting a coalition. So we're working on putting that together. So it was a success. We've also been having cleanup events in association with the dumpster drop events that Transform Temple does. So whenever they drop a dumpster, we coordinate a cleanup event around that dumpster drop and get the neighborhood involved in cleaning up the neighborhood. And we've done that in East Downs, Bel Air, and Crestview over the last 6 months. And those were all really successful. Lots of volunteers and a lot of trash picked up.
I've heard a lot of good things about that. People love that dumpster drop.
Yeah, they're so popular. We have several coalitions established, so we're really working on getting those going. And several others with promise. Like I mentioned, the Jackson Park neighborhood, we had several people say that they wanted to get involved.
the historic neighborhood district, we have a couple of people that are interested in doing that one. And then the same with the downtown. We just haven't gotten them to sign on the dotted line yet, but we're working on them. The Market Loop mural project, phase 1, we're calling it, is completed. Yay. My team is so excited that we don't have to do that in the heat anymore. But it turned out just really, really cute. If you haven't had a chance to go out and take a look at it, I encourage you to do so. It's super popular. Every time we were out there working on it, we'd have people drive by and thank us for doing it. We've had them bring us water, and just everybody's so excited about it. And thank you to our mayor for coming out and helping us dedicate it. It was a great event. We had the children artists and the adult artists come, and it was really, really special. The next phase of that, we will be adding a Santa Fe Depot rendering to one end, and then on the end where the tunnel is and the grass is, we're going to add some additional elements on that end as well. So look for more work on the mural when it's cooler. I will have mass mutiny if we do anything else in the heat.
Are you gonna have a local artist do that rendering, or?
Yes.
Not the
Yes, we
kids,
will.
but just.
Yeah, that will be just adult artists
Yeah.
only. We may have some children involved in the part where the tunnel is, though. We talked about maybe having a kite flying sort of thing and get the kids to design the kites. And so maybe we can, add some
Yeah.
additional children's elements in that way. We're gonna try to loop them in as much as we can, though. That was really special.
Nancy, I still get probably 1 or 2 calls a month. Just, what is it? Why? It's wonderful. Well, comments, you know?
Good.
It's surprising to me how many people are still, I hadn't seen that before. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, we've gotten several as well, and also asking us, okay, so when are you gonna fix the fence? And what are you gonna do with the purple wall? And so it is fun to watch people get excited about it with all the different components of it. We've also been working very, very heavily on our homelessness and mental health strategic plan. And thank you for those of you who have participated in those focus group meetings and individual conversations one-on-one with Dr. Marbut, who's our consultant that we've hired to help us. Just in Temple alone, we have conducted more than 40 focus group meetings and facility tours. We completed a survey with our homeless community that brought in 436 individual surveys from those folks. Lots of great data. Dr. Marbut took all of that information and put it into a really great presentation that he showed you guys. Y'all were presented the initial data findings. And he's also presented that to the city of Killeen and Harker Heights, and I think a couple of places in between. And so our next step is really putting the building blocks together, which is developing infrastructure improvement recommendations, programming changes, a common intake process, and a way for these agencies to really work together and start sharing information. So those really long-term solutions, as well as some short-term sort of low-hanging fruit that we can attack right away. All of that will be coming to you guys, I would say, before the middle of November.
Good.
I know, we are rocking along. Our housing improvement program is also going really well.
Yep.
This chart shows.
Quick question.
Sure.
How are Killeen and Harker Heights coming along?
They're coming along really well too, and we are working very, very closely with them.
Are they enthused?
They are. They're very enthused. It's sort of one of those things where I think they see what the obstacles are going to be and specific challenges that they're going to have. The same as with Temple, there are going to be some things that we'll have to overcome, but they see this sort of light at the end of the tunnel and this whole new way of looking at it with Dr. Marbut's help, that it all seems doable. So it's very hopeful. We all know that it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of coordination, not just with Temple and Killeen, but with the county as a whole, if we're really going to move the needle. And they're just right in lockstep with us as far as philosophical alignment, which is great. And I get that same impression from the county too, that we all want to really help. We don't want to keep anybody in homelessness or poverty. We really want to help, reverse that trend. So,
Nancy, when you say the county, is that the commissioners?
yes, ma'am.
Good.
Well, via Judge Blackburn. We haven't really had any group meetings with them at this point. We are planning to do that though, after we present to the cities. Judge Blackburn wants us to present to the cities first and then to the commissioners after that.
Good.
Okay, our housing improvement program has been going really, really well. We have completed 38 clients, and I think we've actually done a couple of more since I put this slideshow together. So we're right at 40 clients that we have completed in FY22, which is really, really exciting. Every time we close the case, we ring the bell, and the bell's been ringing a lot lately, so that's really exciting. I wanted to just show you guys just one example of our housing improvement program at work. This was before the tin roof with the rust on it over here on the left. And then on the right, it shows what that just replacing the roof does for the overall appearance of the home. Not to mention, it just really stops all the degradation inside and just makes a huge difference in the life of the homeowner. Our homeowner assistance and reconstruction program, our HARP, round 1 is coming along, albeit very slowly. We have been going back and forth with the state, fixing deficiencies in the paperwork and the bureaucracy that it takes to get this project done. But I feel like we're getting finally to the end of that mountain. And so hoping to be able to get green lighted on demolition and construction for this first phase within the next couple of weeks. And we would appreciate your prayers. But I wanted to show you guys the homes that we're going to rebuild. The top left is over off of 24th in the Ferguson Park neighborhood. The top right is on 10th Street in the Silo District. The bottom left is on 25th and Central. You guys drive by that one probably every day. That one we're rebuilding, and then the one at the bottom, you can't really see the house for all the trees, but I did include an inset of just the area around the window so you could see the condition of the home. That one is in the Barnhart District, and that was the one that the chief and his team referred to us, and we're really, really excited to get that one rebuilt. You only see 4, we are doing 5. The 5th one is a completely vacant lot. The home had burned down in 2017, and so we're rebuilding on that vacant lot.
That's the one that had the groundbreaking.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Our rental reinvestment program is also going really well. We have a lot of applications in the pipeline and 2 projects completed. That one, we have a lot of different steps that go along with it, and so it's not a fast moving train, but it is moving. Our CDBG annual action plan for plan year 2022, which is our fiscal year 2023, has been approved by HUD. So we are ready to rock and roll on all of our new programming, and none of it is changing. If you guys recall the presentation that we did for you about the annual action plan, it's pretty much a continuance of the programs that we have been doing. The Love Where You Live initiative is also coming right along. We have a brand new neighborhood navigator. Belinda Garcia is our new neighborhood navigator, and she's just been doing a great job already, just jumped in with both feet and is just bringing this breath of fresh air and a whole new level of creativity. And so we're really, really excited to have her on board. But we have completed all of those that you see there. And
What will she be tasked with?
She does basically the community outreach and engagement portion prior to the plan development phase, and then also after the plan is developed, implementing it as well. So really the feet on the ground, getting the neighborhood involved.
If we do it right, she'll be super busy.
Yes, very, very busy.
That's great.
A couple of other just fun things. This is a picture of our Transform Temple team bringing us a new stove, or new used free donated stove to Family Promise. Their stove went out, so my team got on Facebook and Marketplace and located a free stove and Transform Temple went and picked it up and took it over to Family Promise, just to kind of get them through until their new facility is ready to go. But that was a fun little thing that the team got together and did. Our Good Neighbor program is also going along really well. It ends this month, so we're in the short rows of that. We have 6 people that are receiving help, and I think 4 volunteers at this point are covering those 6. With summer, we've just lost several volunteers, but the 4 that we have are mighty and dedicated, so they're going to see us through. I also attended the National Community Development Association conference and came back with some really, really great ideas of some things that we can do moving forward. So I'm excited to sort of dig into that information and see what we can come up with new to do. Hopefully won't cause a whole lot more work, but we'll see. And then also we supported the Western Hills Church of Christ cleanup with the help of Transform Temple, just sort of helping with logistics of that. And then the sequential intercept mapping for the Bell County Diversion Center, which is also coming right along. Keep Temple Beautiful is coming to the city, hopefully with your approval. We're working on getting a transfer agreement put together. The board, the KTB board met on August 2nd and unanimously approved asking the city to partner with them long-term and take over the operation of Keep Temple Beautiful. So once that says memorandum of understanding, but I am not an attorney, and so it should say transfer agreement, that we are working on that to present to you guys for approval in the coming months. And then after that, we'll work on developing a timeline for the transition process if you approve the partnership. Also, just wanted to throw in a quick update about Launch Temple, since you guys had asked about that in the last updates. This is a Rotary project. The Rotary Club of Temple South and the Rotary Club of Temple partnered together to do this entrepreneurship program. And I think we had 15 people sign up, 14 of them actually graduated. And they are just doing a great job getting their businesses off the ground or building on their existing small business. So that is definitely a program that we will continue to do in the future. Other upcoming plans for the Love Where You Live initiative, we are down into the short rows of the Garden District and look forward to presenting that one to you guys. I personally think it is one of the best that we've presented so far, created so far, and I can't wait for you to see it. And we're also in the process of Temple Heights. The Silo District should be coming to you guys in October for approval of that contract if it hasn't already.
Where's Temple Heights?
Temple Heights is sort of 31st Street to 57th Avenue, or the railroad tracks down to just south of Scott Boulevard by where the JC Park is.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We're also working on our neighborhood identification program, which will include monument signs and street toppers for the neighborhoods that you see listed there. We are working with an organization called Studio 1619 out of, I believe they're Georgetown, Round Rock, in that area, to help us develop the construction documents. And then we'll be ready to work on installing all of those. Those have already been budgeted. Also super excited about our volunteer program. This is brand new, and this is a citywide volunteer program that will hopefully coordinate all of our volunteers for the entire city, all the departments, internal city departments, to utilize volunteers, to allow us to track the hours a little bit better, provide them with great recognition and benefits for volunteering, and also just a way to communicate opportunities to volunteer. We're using a platform called VOMO, which basically means volunteer mobilization. They shortened it to VOMO. And it's an online, really great interactive platform that will help us to be able to manage all of that data effectively. Our marketing department put together the name. They came up with the GIVE project, and I just love it. And then all of the different ideas for promoting that. And we are pushing it out now, I believe. But it is up and running. It's on our website. If you go to templetx.gov/serve, you'll see the link to sign up for our volunteer program. Our Neighborhood Leadership Academy is coming up in the winter of 2023. We had originally planned to have that in the fall, actually in a couple of weekends from now, but we ran into venue problems that were unforeseen, unfortunately. So we've had to push that out, and we're having it at Salmon's Community Center, which will be a much, much better venue for it. Really excited about our keynote speaker. His name is Billy Riggs. He's an illusionist, motivational speaker, and he's going to be just super fun during the lunchtime. We've actually had several people say, you know what, I can't stay for the entire day, but I would totally buy a ticket just for the lunch to watch Billy Riggs. So we may end up having that as an option too. But we will put more information out as we get all of the details confirmed on that.
So when is it? Ballpark?
We're thinking February the
Oh, okay.
23rd. Mhm.
Calm down.
Yes, ma'am. We don't have that confirmed yet, though. Absolutely, you sure can. Yes. A couple of just upcoming events, just so that you guys know we're doing it. We had the Northwest Hills Cleanup event on September the 24th, and we've got one for Siley. It wasn't, well, I say it wasn't. I feel like we did make progress on one block where the apartment, and Chief was there, where the apartment complex is on between Valley Forge, or on Valley Forge between Betsy Ross and that one.
Yeah, that's a tough neighborhood. There's just a lot of fun ownership. So.
We had one person come out and help us. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, from the neighborhood people. We had a great showing from our Temple staff, our City of Temple staff.
Those that were voluntold to be there.
But only one resident came out. But, we are going to,
So how do you get the word out?
we did door hangers. We did 2 sets of door hangers. So, yeah. And I think they put it down on Nextdoor as well, the online platform. And that sort of thing. But we're gonna look at doing some things to improve the availability of the trash cans. We talked to Justin Brantley about that apartment complex needing an enclosure for their dumpsters, and
Looks horrible.
it really, really does. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to come up with some of those types of solutions.
We
And
talked about the number of bulk items that they pick up. The claw, when it picks it up, is now just dug a huge crater into the ground because there's always furniture and
Well,
trash.
and I think that the residents put the stuff in the crater too, right?
Yeah.
So that's, unless you went in and filled that in
Yeah.
and moved it somewhere else, it's probably gonna be a hole there. So you mentioned Nextdoor, the app. Does the city have some sort of either capability to use that app to target neighborhoods? And you mentioned door hangers. That sounds super inefficient. Except that you know you're hitting every home, I guess, versus people that don't have email address. But do you find the neighborhood app being successful?
you know, we haven't done a lot of asking how they heard about it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know, but that's a really good point. I think we really should dig into that and start asking, you know, how'd you hear about the event? Where are we being most
I
effective?
didn't hear about it,
Really?
so I wonder. Because I would have been there.
Lots of people came to lunch.
Yeah.
That happened.
It smelled really good, though.
Beat the sheet.
We do typically use Nextdoor is used to target specific areas versus doing like a Facebook or some other type of a social media presence. So Nextdoor is usually the go-to app, but we probably could do a little better about finding out who that reaches.
You know, especially like in Midtown, there's quite a few churches, if you have flyers, it would be good out to some of the churches.
Yeah, with it in the bulletin.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. And we do have Midtown coming up on
Yeah, that's
November
what I'm-
19th. Vista is bringing out a whole bunch of volunteers. That's their give back day. That's what they call it.
Okay.
And so we're meeting up with them on the Midtown. That would be a great thing to add in the weeks leading up to it. And that's all I have. Other questions?
I don't know how you keep it all straight. It's a lot.
Girl, I have a great team and the grace of God. That's pretty much it. All right, thanks you guys.
Ma'am. Who's up? You're up. Chief.
It's a question.
Chief.
All right, so thanks, Mayor and Council. So I didn't bring candy, however, so that I don't let you down, I did.
You can go get some.
Actually, I got something better. So we'll see. I just got informed it just got here, so.
I know what it is.
So-
Should I go out front?
Yes.
Help you?
So just let you know that you can come in there. So I want to talk about some incident numbers. So we track our incidents kind of a couple different ways. So one is by calendar year, one is by fiscal year. So for calendar year 22 so far, we're at about 11,000 responses as of September 30th. Pretty busy year this year. We're on track to hit it right around upper 14s to low 15s this year. As typically the end of the year turns out pretty busy. For fiscal year, of course, this did end at September 30th. So about 14,000 and a half emergency calls for the year. Of those 466 fire, that was a record year for Temple as far as fire calls. So very busy year going that way. And this is just kind of a comparison of fire calls. This is actually a breakdown. This is something I've started doing not only for you all and CMO, but also for Emergency Services Advisory Board. And this is just a breakdown of what the fire calls are. So from building fires to vehicle fires to grass fires to whatever. And so if you look, the top one is FY21 and the lower one is fiscal year 22. You can see we did 335 fire calls last year and we did 466 this year. So about 130 additional calls. The two that I really want to point out to you is building fires. We did 65 of those in 21 and we did 83 this last year. And then the one that's really up, and I think we would all expect it, of course, with the summer that we had, is our grass and brush fires. So 65 of those last year, 184 this year. So we literally ran the tires off of some of our trucks this year chasing grass and brush fires. So when we also talk about calls, we also talk about responses, because sometimes calls end up with multiple vehicles, so they'll end up with more responses. That's why 14,000 calls, but 17,000 responses. So this is just kind of how it's broken down, but 17,417 on our responses, again, another record year for us. And so when you look at it broken down two ways, one is by month. And July was a very busy one for us. Again, a lot of those were our grass and brush fires. And then by station, and station 1 and 3 are by far our busiest stations. We really keep those two crews hopping. If you look back over the years, this is kind of the trends that we've been running on. And so over here is the calls, and then on the other side is the responses. You can see we've been slowly trending up. Now here in 2017, 2018, we made a change in our EMS responses, and we quit sending fire trucks on some of our low acuity EMS calls. And we cut out about 25 to 2,600 calls. That's why you see that dip there in call volume. But what you can also see is we made that back up, and that's still without those calls. So if we had kept those calls back in between 17 and 18, we'd be over 20,000 calls of service right now. So our fire department staffing levels, we're authorized for 125 personnel plus 1 overhire. That's 122 of those are certified fire positions and 4 civilians. Currently, right now today, we have 115 authorized in operations, or the folks that are out riding the fire trucks. And we have 112 in those positions. So I have 3 openings right now. I have 5 in the training academy, and we have 107 that are riding the trucks. And then in admin, we're authorized for 10, and we have all 10 of those positions staffed.
Chief, where are you getting, your 5 that are in the academy? Where did they come from? Are they local or?
So some are local, some are actually Temple, former or current Temple residents, and then some just from the surrounding area. We do have a mileage restriction or a minutes to Temple restriction, so they all live within at least 45 minutes of Temple. So some are just from just outside, but most of in the, I guess, greater Temple area.
Okay.
Yep. So a little bit of discussion about our business plans. So pretty much everything's gone pretty well. You can see we've got some deliveries pushed back. We are dealing with the supply chain issues just like everybody else. Our cardiac monitors are waiting on computer chips basically to make them functional. Our outdoor warning sirens just waiting on our vendor to install those. We do have those. Our trucks, our ladder truck, we are going actually for a pre-build on it this coming week. And we expect it to still be delivered in late February, early March. We did receive our off-road utility vehicle, and I've got a picture of it here in a minute, and it's in, and we've got our skid unit in it, our water unit in it, and we're building a stretcher unit for it right now. A few of these got pushed back. Station alerting is pushed back. They had some employment issues at the vendor that we're trying to use on that. I'm on my 4th salesperson trying to get that done. I think I finally have one that's going to stick with us for a while, and so we're starting to make some progress on that again. Master plan is finished. I literally just finished reading through the master plan today at lunch. Got a couple of last edits, and we should have that out to everybody in the next week or so.
There's a typo on it. Change the date. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. Say, you scared me.
Just check that.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So anyway, looking at our upcoming plan, or the one that we just started. So we do have 1 new cardiac monitor there. We're sure that's going to be delayed as well because of the computer chips. The fire engine is going to be interesting. We do have one of those in the budget for the year. But we were notified by our apparatus vendor that delays have hit them as well. And so now we are looking at 28 to 34 months delivery time on a new fire apparatus. So yeah, 2 to 3 years to get a fire truck.
From this point?
If I ordered it today.
Oh, not the ones that are on order.
Right, so the one that's on order will be here in March,
Okay.
which is a ladder truck. We're getting ready to order an engine, and it will not be here for at least 28 months. So we do have 2 staff vehicles up for replacement, and we're a little worried about that as well. Again, the supply chain issues and the delays on that. Station alerting is just going to continue, and then just some other things. And the improvement to the training center, though, they're in progress. We've been working on our driving track. We just reviewed some plans for it the other day, and it's coming along very nicely. And so, again, a lot of exciting things going on out at the training center with us and in PD. Whoop.
Oh,
So two things here. One is if you remember, I told you about the UTV. That is it over here, the Kubota. That's going to be used at any of our special events that we go do standbys for. It'll be used on any of our running, walking trails. It's really going to be very beneficial to us. It's going to allow us to get to a lot of places where our larger apparatus and our larger trucks can't get to. On the right-hand side, you see one of our utility trucks that we actually converted into a grass truck, or a grass fire truck. It's been extraordinarily helpful, and many thanks to the finance folks, Jennifer and Sherry and Tracy, for allowing us to get that skid unit to get in that truck. Right now, both of our squads are down, getting repairs done to them. They've been out for a couple of months now. We made it through grass season with them, but just basically with baling wire and bubble gum, keeping them going for a little bit. And so this one's managed to keep us in business and able to run calls while those are getting repaired. And I will tell you, looking at the weather forecast, it looks like we're getting ready to head back into real serious drought season. So I think we're going to start seeing grass fires coming back over the winter months. So good news is it won't be 115 degrees out, but it is going to be just as dry, and the grass fires will be just as dangerous. So, all right. So,
Question real quick on that.
Yes, ma'am.
How much
Hmm?
water does that hold?
So this particular one has 250 gallons in it. And it will basically empty that tank in about a minute and a half if we pump it at full capacity.
What, in the Kubota?
80 gallons. So we haven't fought a fire with the Kubota yet. We've used the utility truck on several, and it's worked out very well for us. It's been a real asset to the department. So, anything else, Ben?
Thanks.
All right, so Smokey, he is our newest member of the fire department, and we got him back a few weeks ago, and he is going to be working in our public education office and be working as a how should I say, a comfort dog kind of. So here's my surprise.
Oh, Smokey.
So Smokey's here.
Oh, great.
Oh.
That's not for you, Soto. That's for God.
So the only way I could be candy was by the dog.
I'll take him home.
But that is Smokey. We have found he is extraordinarily popular with everybody.
Really? What a surprise.
Santos, the last few times that he's had him out, has just gotten swarmed by people. So, and of course, he made a lot of rounds at National Night Out. He's like, again, he was super popular. Yeah, Santos, he's 3 months now.
3 months. So, the lady that we got him from, told me he was born on the 4th of July. So he's right at 3 months. He is 100% puppy still. And his official training will start this month in about a week and a half. And then he'll go through a bunch of training. Several folks are helping out with that. So Sit Means Sid is one of them. I've got some friends and some people over there, and they're going to be kind of sponsoring his training. And then the plan is, after all his obedience training, his good canine or his canine good citizen training, and a few other things that he's going to go through, we'll start putting him into therapy canine training with the Go Team Therapy Canines here locally. And then they're kind of sponsoring that stuff with him. So hopefully, if all the training sticks, it'll be an in-house therapy canine for us here at the fire department to help us, other first responders, and hopefully other people in the community. So.
Has a lot of pressure on those.
Yeah.
Forget it. We're here. What is your name?
So, I'm sorry?
Tonight.
We're home for So, a couple of years ago, I did a bunch of stuff for one of the citizens here in town. So she needed a bunch of smoke alarms checked out. She was going to foster a couple of kids. And so we did a home walkthrough and stuff. And she had a pair of Dalmatians. And just when I saw them, I just kind of mentioned briefly to her, hey, if you ever breed them, let me know. I might be interested. And this was probably a year and a half ago. She called me about 3-4 weeks and said, hey, I've got 4 males ready to wean if you're still interested. So what kind of started as a joke with the chief of, hey, do you think we can have a dedicated canine at the fire station? A couple of conversations with him turned into, yeah, let's kind of see where it goes. So
We might need another one.
another one.
Unless we get to actually pet the dog.
Hey,
it doesn't
Smokey.
mean candy.
He's coming. He's coming around. So, in addition to Santos taking on the responsibility of the dog, and the folks that are doing the training, we've got PetSmart that's doing all of the veterinary care and grooming for us.
So PetSmart's doing all the grooming, and then Animal Medical Care over off of Avenue H is doing his vet care.
And then we're working on Mars for.
I did reach out to Mars. They haven't been receptive. They didn't call me back, but
They make dog food by the flipping ton.
By the real carload.
Exactly. No, we're not gonna get it.
sometimes Cole got him all worked up out there. So. But he's been pretty good. So I have 3 small kids. I've got a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So I mean, he's hounded relentlessly at home by kids. We actually went to 2 daycares this week already. So we're in the middle of October and Fire Safety Month and all that. So we've done our fire safety presentations, and then we kind of brought him out. The first daycare, they got mad at me because I put him away before the teachers got to play with him. So, but so far he's been he's been a pretty chill dog. He's been pretty relaxed for the most part until Nicole gets him worked up, so.
So obviously Smokey is his name.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Just.
He's a mess.
All right, well, while everybody's betting Smokey, I'll go ahead and keep on with mine. So some of the events that we've had in the last several months is we continue to teach ICS classes, and this is another one of them that we were doing over at the training center. Those have become very popular. We've had multiple cities and agencies coming and joining us for that training, and so it's been really well received and going well. We've done a couple of 3 open houses, and you can kind of see the pictures of that. And, the last one out at 7 was very popular. Councilperson Walker stopped by, and that was great. Of course, we had Smokey there, and of course, again, he was very popular with that. That was actually, I think, his first public event, and so he did really great with that. At that one, we also had our Rescue Elves. We kind of kicked off our Rescue Elves fundraising, and so we were doing that, and several people brought in toys and cash donations to us for Rescue Elves. We'll be making that distribution of those items later in December. And then we participate with a group on Backpack Buddies, and over 500 backpacks there that you see that we help out with. And you can see the group up there that helped put those backpacks and stuff together, again, right around the first of the school year. For the kids to make sure that they had the right school supplies and their needs taken care of. So again, very busy summer and fall for us. A few of our calls we had, of course, some of the big grass fires. You can see 2 of those. This one was over at Wrenchapart in Belton. Grass fire that got into the actual car part of it, burnt up a whole lot of cars. We had several crews over there helping on that. This one was out by the lake in Moffett area that we were out helping on. A fire down here, the high rise downtown. It was up on the top floor. Someone had left some food on the stove and caught fire. And that one was exciting for a little bit until we got up there, but the sprinkler system did take care of it. So awesome for that. This one was one, I don't know if everybody remembers it or not, but there was a trench collapse down in Gerald back a few months ago. We sent our special operations team with our collapse rescue trailer. That's them trying to dig the 2 victims out. Kirby, our new assistant chief, was telling me when he got back that it was actually kind of rocky clay ground, and the rock that fell on them was 200,000 tons.
Oh.
So huge rock that fell over on them, and it took us about, I think it was about 22 hours to get them located and out. So guys did a lot of great work, and again, it was a pretty tragic situation, but our crews did a lot of really good work. The center one here, everybody makes fun of me. So we had a drowning out on the lake, and normally we'll use Morgan's Point has a large Coast Guard boat that they use for locating drowning victims and what have you. It's been down for a few months, so that's my boat and all of my sonar and stuff. We were able to find him pretty quick though with it and get him out, but everybody makes fun of me with the picture. Kirby, my assistant chief, stuck that in there. So we got to have you in there with your boat. So
We know you were fishing.
I actually wasn't. I did actually put all my fishing rods up. So, and what you see on the front deck of it, that's all the scuba gear that the guys wore to go down and grab the victim of the drowning. So.
Like the Captain Morgan pose.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was hoping no one knows that, but yeah, it was kind of a Captain Morgan thing. So, one of the other things we do and have done is a lot of training for the fiscal year, about 12,000 hours worth of departmental training, and then we did an additional 880 hours in different instruction of certification and other types of classes, whether it be firefighter 1 and 2 or fire officer classes, fire instructor classes, those types of things. Did an awful lot of teaching out there. So really busy at the training center. I hope that you continue seeing that. Several of these in here were larger classes that we helped put on and teach and taught a lot of CPR this year. So again, just some more training. You can see some of the props that we've got out there at the training center. And then one that, again, we kind of threw in here is physical fitness is another big part of our training. You got to be physically fit to do the job. And so that's the crews out working out. The day we took this picture, it was about 110 at that point right there. It was about 4 in the afternoon. And you can see they're out working out in their full gear and stuff. Because again, we have to be accustomed to the heat. The heat is one of those things that will really sap the energy out of you. So we get out there and work out in the heat. The two that are in their shorts and stuff had already done their evolutions with their gear on. So.
Were you doing that back behind Central Fire Station?
Yeah, so if you've ever ran the lines in basketball, we've got a course set up out there where if you run the lines, it's about 2.5 miles. And so the crews get out there almost every night doing it. So if you're ever downtown around 4 or 5 o'clock and want to see them doing it, that's when they're out there doing it. So 2 folks very proud of, and I just wanted to sing some praises for them. Here on the left-hand side is Ray Cole. She's one of our firefighters. She just got her paramedic license. This was her paramedic class graduation where she was a class valedictorian. Awesome for her and us. And she did just complete her paramedic testing and is a fully certified and licensed paramedic now. So she did awesome and just doing great things for the department. I wish I had about a dozen of her. And then over here, the one guy holding the certificate, that is Ronnie Salter. He's our training chief. He just completed the Texas Fire Chiefs Academy. And so again, that's quite an accomplishment. It's a 2-year program. Very, very proud of him. Kirby, which is standing there next to me, and Mark Engelke here on the end had just completed their first year in this picture as well. So Landy and I have already completed the full class. So we did that a couple of years ago. So on the fire investigations, so this year 65 of our fires were investigated. 31 of those were unintentional, 37 intentional or questioned. Right now we have 3 open and active cases. We have 4 that we filed with the district attorney and either waiting charges or determine whether or not they're going to file charges. We have had 1 arrest on a fire this year, and then we've also started filing some complaints in municipal court for either illegal burning or burning during the burn ban or those types of things. So start seeing some of those. One of the other things that the fire marshal's office does is, of course, building inspections and permits. This is all new construction here in town. So in 21, you can see we did 287. We were up to 331 this year. And you can see our on-time reviews, which is that 10 business day turnaround. We're running around the 90%. And again, it's just where the reason why we're kind of seeing that fall off is we're seeing the rise in those plans and whatever coming in. And as we talked about during budget, we're an office of 1 right now. So we do have an open position that just hit with the new budget year for a plans reviewer. And so we hope to have that hired by the end of the year and that person in working. So just some of the notable things that the fire marshal's office done, a lot of large projects, and obviously everybody knows about these, but FedEx, Meta, Rhodium or Green Data, Village on Pepper Creek, and then the HEB freezer expansion. And if you haven't been out there to see that one, I suggest you drive down the loop. That thing is going to be enormous. And what Landy's telling me is 100% automated. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see. Public education, this is partially SOTO's area and then some of our others, but 662 different presentations around in this last year, 65 smoke detector installs, 88 school presentations, and then 69 CPR trainings. And most of those had at least 5 to 10 people in it getting CPR taught to them. One of the other things, and I can't remember if it had taken place when I did the last update for y'all, but the car seat distributions, we are now the only entity in both Bell and McLennan County installing car seats for people and making sure car seats get put in right. Everybody else has dropped out of the program. So we are still doing that. We are starting to see an increase in those numbers, but I think it's a very vital service for our community. And so we're going to continue to do that as long as we feasibly can. And so I know I had this picture in there last time, but that's my granddaughter. So. And her seat is installed correctly.
Better be.
So junior fire cadets again this year, another overwhelming success. Just been a great program since we started it. 120 cadets, 10 counselors, and we have 2 sessions where we run those folks through. And again, just extraordinarily popular with both parents and kids and the firefighters. And we just have a lot of fun doing it.
2 of our employees' kids were involved in that, and just can't say enough great things about it. They really learned a lot.
Yep.
A lot of fun. You really did.
Don't know. Yeah, he didn't leave the picture in here, but Santa just normally has like a handlebar mustache. And, he had it during class, and a couple of kids came in a couple of days wearing fake ones. So it was really funny pictures to see it. So, although I hate talking about it, I'm going to because it's still hanging on. COVID and monkeypox are still out there being talked about. Good news is we know a lot more about all of it now, and so it's not quite as big of a deal. Numbers are still low in the county, and so again, we continue to monitor and watch it and keep track of things. Monkeypox really started off going to being a big talk, and really has ended up being not much of anything. We've had a total of 11 cases in Bell County since it first came out. I don't know if anyone ever saw these or not, but this is something that we did several times throughout the COVID. I think this is like the 6th or 7th version of this. And basically every time CDC would change their guidelines, we would get with Dr. McGraw and the infectious control physicians at Baylor Scott and White, work up a new guideline for COVID-19 on how we were going to respond to it, to put out to employees. So everybody knew, hey, here's your risk factors. Here's what you need to do if you've got this or that or what have you. And the great thing about this one is now the only time that you need to quarantine yourself is when you actually have COVID. If you've had either direct contact or indirect contact, no more quarantines. And so that's just nothing but good news. So a couple things we've got going on right now. So we're right in the middle of Fire Prevention Week, and one of the things that's going on is Light the Night for fallen firefighters. So we're encouraging everybody to put red lights out, or change their bulbs in their front porch lights and what have you, and leave them on as a remembrance to fallen firefighters throughout the country. Every year, around 100 firefighters die in the line of duty, and this year is going to be no different. And so just something to remember that if you see the red porch lights, that's what it's there for.
Where do you find the ring?
So you can buy them at Home Depot or Lowe's. You can also get them on Amazon. That's where I got mine. So an event coming up, we've got our Fire Safety Day. It's on October 22nd. It'll be from 10 to 1. We'd love to have you all come out. Please consider yourself personally invited. And like I said, we'd love to see you there. It will be open to the public, and I hope we have a really great turnout. Anyway, and that's all I have. So any questions?
That's a lot. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Smoky trumps it all.
Yes, he does.
We've got our dogs coming over the sweep in the area after they get down the car.
Probably should have started here.
Here's what I've got. Sticker and a star.
You need how to do that?
No.
Hold your gun.
The advantage of getting up.
Andy, the dog stickers.
This is your first year having a card?
Yes, this is the,
Almost like-
I won't forget about the outer circle like Nancy does, so.
Oh, did we all get you? You are?
You're
welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Surprise the dark.
All right. You guys have a good night.
These go.
Bye.
You're welcome.
That's cool.
Do it.
Would add to the burn ban.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for a little bit of time. So we're gonna spend a little bit of time talking about crime. Everybody, let's vibe on crime. What do you think?
What was the question?
Crime?
No, you asked a question.
What do you think about crime?
We're bad.
Wonderful, we love it.
Okay, didn't expect that.
Crime's bad.
Of course not.
Is it up, down?
Down.
Oh.
It's across the board. And we're gonna see, and I'll walk you through some things. So, our work starts here. It's about relationships, trust, and communication. We actually graduate our CPAC class tonight in our Citizens Police Academy. We've had National Night Out, Coffee with a Cop this week. All of our job begins with relationships, trust, and communication. That's where it all starts for us. So I want to start with the end of 21. This is where all major crime categories, according to the FBI UCR. So you can see we're green across the board. 29% reduction in homicide, 10% reduction in rape, 13% in robbery, 21% in ag assaults, 12% in burglary of a residence, 28% burglary of a building, all down. Larceny down 12%, auto theft down 40%.
What do you think that is?
Nationally,
This is our stats.
this is here.
For 2021.
You said FBI, I misunderstood.
Yep, this is how we report them. These are all the major crime categories that we utilize. There's all kinds of substructure in a variety of different manners, different codes that get associated. This is where we finished out 2021. So I often get asked, what type of crime is the most common?
I
So
see pictures happening. We can get you guys copies of these slides. I don't want that.
I've got a couple of
there'll
those.
be some you don't want to take a picture of. So I'm getting to those.
That was cool though.
That one's good. So the most common types of theft are in the theft category or assault category. In the theft category, I would rule in burglaries, burglary of building, burglary of a residence, assault cases, assaults, aggravated assaults. But you can see this is an old slide, and I like to use multiple data sets and resources. So I'll go to the FBI for some. This is the Pew Research Center. Larceny and theft by far across the board, the most reported crimes that we have. Burglary next, aggravated assault third, motor vehicle theft. And then this is what we've essentially seen since the 1990s. As growth has occurred, populations have continued to grow. You can see that most crime categories that we've been talking about, violent and property, have been on a pretty rapid decline. Staffing, you all know where we're at. We're currently 17 officers down. That's about 10% of our workforce. If you plug in the 7 in field training and 5 in the academy, we're at about 20% of our workforce that we're down. And so our non-sworn categories generally filled up very good. Sworn law enforcement positions are a little more challenging these days. This is where we are through September of this year. Homicide is down 50%. You'll see an increase in rape. Now, one thing I want to remind you of is when you deal with small numbers, the differences show greater percentage value. So, for example, the rape category, we had 29 at this point last year. We're at 43. That's really just the difference of 13 additional reports. Robbery cases have been up. They're up 42%. Again, a difference from 19 to 27. Aggravated assault category. This is the category I drew your attention to in March. I'm sorry. In March when I was here, that was giving me concern. The statistical percentage was much higher. Because of some of our efforts, we've seen that percentage begin to fall. Burglary of a residence down 31%. Burglary of a building down 18%. Larceny is up slightly, 4%. Auto theft down 27%.
Remind me again what larceny is.
Yeah. Violent crimes, when we take all those categories and put them in together, we've seen an increase of about 44%. Property crimes continue to decline or stay fairly reasonable. I don't know, given the status of the economy, I often think this is one of the categories that you may see an increase in thefts, burglaries, those types of things. But I wanted to show you, and Mayor, you'll recognize some of these slides. So earlier in the year, I was asked to create a slide presentation that showed kind of multiple years. And I put in kind of a linear line there that shows you the trend. 1 year good, 1 year bad does not a trend make, in my opinion. I like to look at multiple years. I prefer to look at 5 years of data just to see and get an understanding of what's currently occurring in the environment. So we were also asked to look at crime rate. So we spent some time and developed some of these. So since 2018, which again, 14, I think is a bit of an anomaly year. But at the end of 22, we'll have 5 years worth of data. You can see 14, 6, 7, 5, and we're currently at 2. So that's crimes going in the right direction. It's declining. Sexual assault cases, very much the same, although they did just, I just got notified the other day that they've changed some of the classification categories, the subcategories I was telling you about. So you may see this category begin to decline because more items are being included in this category. Robbery, again, 2018, bit of a challenging year, but you can see on the decline through 2021. Aggravated assault, you can see for 2020, during the COVID years, it was a little higher. You know, a lot of things get associated with COVID. We were pretty much on lockdown. We were with our families all the time. That's not always good for some families, but we continue to see a little bit of an incline in this one. Violent crime rate. This is based on crime categories, number of reported instances in the population at the time. We got with the city secretary, so give me the official populations for the official population of Temple for all these years. We went through and calculated this. Again, the violent crime rate per 1,000, we're not above 100,000 population. When we do, we'll convert to the 100,000 statistical measurements. But you can see it's gone from 3.1 to 2.6. Burglaries, property crimes, 144 to 110. Burglary of a building, a sharp decline. Larceny, a decline. Overall, you'll see that 2020 again was a little bit higher than what we'd seen in 2019 and 2021. Unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Absent this anomaly year, a trend line would be fairly stable. And again, we're probably going to see a little bit of dip in that. Over half of our vehicles that get stolen have the keys in them, and half of them are unlocked. Mayor.
Shame.
Property crime law. Property crime rate per 1,000 again from 2018 to 2021. You can see the trend line there. Total violent and property crime. This is really the metrics for both all those categories. You can see crime has been on the decline. So what's our crime reduction strategy? We clearly identified some of these trends in February of this year. So we made some immediate changes. We've had a detective assigned to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Violent Crime Task Force. We've also been working with the Department of Public Safety Violent Crime Task Force. So if there's ever a day you're driving around and you see a bunch of DPS cars, because we're out working with them. An internal task force was actually created in February of this year to attack the violent crime spikes that we were kind of seeing, the spree that we were identifying. Our crime scene investigators utilize E-Trace, NIVEN, as well as our detectives, the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network on all actionable shooting-related incidents. And what we do from those crime scenes, when weapons are recovered or shell casings are recovered, we either test fire the weapon to recover a cartridge. We analyze that under a microscope. It then gets photographed with high density photographs so that we can identify the tool markings on it. And then we can later identify the weapon that was used in that. E-Trace tracks the first point of sale of any weapon in the United States. When it comes in, if it's overseas, it comes through customs. It tracks that first point of sale, so you know where it occurred. And they're utilized together to develop leads in investigative cases. And in fact, we were just talking with the ATF today. We think we'll have their mobile NIVEN unit at our facility. I'd love to show you all the inside of that so you can kind of look at the technology that goes into solving cases involving gun crimes.
Chief, that doesn't do anything for private sales that are not registered or, I mean, that doesn't
First
log
point of
those.
sale is tracked by the ATF and it's information that's readily available.
First point, but not,
Not the
not
routine
private,
sales
yeah,
after that.
okay,
First point of sale.
right.
And why that's important, there are a lot of criminal organizations that utilize other people to purchase most of their weapons. And that's how you can see if there's a straw purchase going on, if the same person is purchasing multiple brand new weapons. We sadly, in this area, a lot of our weapons are just stolen. Gun owners don't remove their weapons from their vehicle. That's one of the first things I look at every morning on my way into work. And there's almost always a burglary to a motor vehicle and their rifle or their handgun was stolen. So we've got to be better about being good gun owners. We did review 24 cases that had been classified incorrectly. We're doing that in most of our categories, making sure that we've got them classified by the elements of the crime and the reporting elements. So there can always be some wiggle room in some of the numbers. And then the flock safety cameras, we've got most of those, if not all of those, installed. As we're dealing with logistic and supply chain issues, the Raven shot detection systems is scheduled for November, December timeframe. Again, supply chains, we're waiting on different pieces and components that go into that to come in. And that's when our time period will actually start for our test project. And we're not letting them start our 90-day test run before we get everything put in place. But I also wanted to share a little bit about what we're doing differently, trying to be transparent with the community. So in 2020, when I got here, and this is probably not a full data set because we really didn't begin tracking these for a while, but we did 29 press releases. In 2021, we issued 50. By June of this year, we had issued 80 press releases, and that number is probably way higher. I didn't have a chance to update it. I apologize. But we're trying to put out as much information as possible to the community. There was this perception because we started using social media and the press differently for missing persons. We were getting a lot, does Temple have a missing persons problem? We ran the numbers. There were really no difference in the numbers from year to year. But we're trying to also use the public to try and recover these runaways, missing persons, folks with Alzheimer's, dementia, as quickly as we can. So we'll push out a photograph, we'll push out the press release to kind of crowdsource it, if you will. And it's been very helpful.
How effective I've seen the postings of like a picture taken at Lowe's of someone that, this person, how effective are those?
Very
Because a lot of times those are pretty good pictures.
Yep, some are and some aren't. We get a lot of criticism sometimes. I don't know, I guess people think it's our photograph. But we'll put out the best information that we have. But I think the last 4 that we put out in the month, we've identified every suspect involved in those criminal cases. So that's a bit of a swing, perhaps from the public and community standpoint, because in 2020 and 2021, we weren't getting a lot of direct feedback from.
What sort of liability is that? Or is there any liability if somehow the wrong picture is put up of maybe the mayor? What if it's not the right picture?
Then I think you would.
That's on Lowe's, or, whose responsibility is that?
We probably have a touch of liability there, but I don't think there's much. An error made in good faith, I don't see much liability being present there.
Community, wonderful.
Okay.
As long as we're acting.
That doesn't really answer the
As
question.
long as we're acting in good faith and relying on the best evidence, we're covered.
Want your photo out there?
Next week.
Only if it's a Muskegee side.
So let me tell you a little bit about, we got lots of projects going on, just like everybody else does. We have the Public Safety Training Center. Chief Randall's already talked about that. This is actually the Project Week launch for Niche RMS. So we've been in Niche Business Fit all week long with Kelly's folks. They're all awesome. You guys know that. Tomorrow is actually the official kickoff from 1 to 4, where we'll bring in all the chiefs, all the IT directors. Hopefully they'll show up as we begin going. I've heard nothing but positives from the feedback that we've got going. And we've been doing alert training. So following Uvalde, the school incident, I sent Deputy Chief Clark to Uvalde. He spent 2 or 3 days there. And I ordered everyone in the police department to go back through the 2-day alert training. Day 1 is really classroom and movements, working in a team, as well as solo environments. Day 2 is almost all day practical exercises. So we've got a lot of great community partners, Vista Baptist, Temple College, Bethel. Those places have given us sections of their facilities. We hang up plastic on the walls because we shoot actual simulation rounds at each other. They do hurt. Full gear, those types of things. It's been phenomenal training. We just wanted, it had been probably 8 years since Temple had gone through that. We wanted to freshen that up, make sure we're prepared for any instance. We also worked closely with the school district, and while I won't go into all the specific details, we worked out mechanics and mechanisms to get into any door from the outside that we need to. We're working on some other security precautions as well. It's been very good. And alert training, another class finishes up today. Animal shelter expansion.
Chief, can I just also mention that I was with Chief when he did rounds right after the Uvalde shooting. He went to all of the shift change briefings and was really clear with his team on his expectations and what, if there's a situation that there might be a life in danger, especially a student, a young person, that they are authorized to do what they need to do to go in immediately and
hopefully save lives. So I was with him when he made that really clear to his team. So he wouldn't say that to you, but I wanted to, let you know that he's gone, and he's been very clear with everyone. And so, not that they didn't know that already, but that he reinforced that with the entire department.
She probably said it much nicer than I said it. Thank you for that. The animal shelter expansion, we're getting ready to go. We've got another meeting set up, and that's most of our weeks. We have public safety training center meetings, followed by an animal shelter expansion meeting, followed by a niche meeting. We just have a lot of projects going on at the same time right now. But community outreach events, I've talked a little bit about that. National Night Out was a huge success this year. Number of parties that we went to. Thank you if you were able to go out. I didn't get to catch up to all of you because I think we were bouncing between locations, but thank you so much. We had the back to school prayer service. What was that date? September
25th.
25th. We did that. We did our Blue Santa back to school. It was the first time we'd ever launched that. We delivered 303 backpacks with all the school supplies to kids, helping out 126 families. Snow cone events, we continue to get, I didn't know we had a snow cone trailer when I got here. You know, a snow cone trailer. I'm like, what? But it's just great. It's just a fantastic thing to take out. We took it out when we did the cleanup event just recently. And if you didn't see the pictures, Martina Malone is in full uniform. I mean, she peeled her vest and she's mowing lawns, and it was just great. We're preparing for the 23 budget, which is already underway. Citizens Police Academy graduates, violent crime task force still, recruiting efforts are still, that's what keeps me up at night. It's just trying to recruit the right folks. I just got off the phone this morning with a gentleman in Modesto, California. So when we get contacted, if I talk with one in Charleston, we are starting to see, I think, some of the benefits of some of our marketing campaigns and things that we've done. We are getting some outside folks. What I really am trying to target and get in now is some lateral officers. That don't have to go maybe through some lateral Texas officers that I don't have to go through academy. I can just put them right in field training program, and in about 5 months, if they're successful, I can get them out on the road.
How successful has the consultant been?
They did some things really well and other things they didn't do really well. So we've canceled that contract. Their contract was coming up for expiration on October 31st, but we went ahead and canceled it early. The video stuff, you've seen the production quality and everything they did very well. We had some opinions on marketing and communication. They felt like they could do what they were trying to do and wouldn't have to go back and second guess some of their work. And so we've ended that contract as of, I think it ends tomorrow. But they did some things really well. I mean, the website is great. The videos are fantastic. If you've watched those, very, very good. And it's been very helpful for us. What we have now is just one website to direct people to. They just go to jointemplepd.com. They can apply. It takes them right to Dayforce. They go through the 2-stage process. It's working very well.
I think what they did to set us up for success was great. And I think now our in-house team can take over, and we don't have to continue to pay outside consultants for help. But the foundation of putting the website together and getting the video set up was needed and very helpful.
Next 90 days, we're going to continue to focus on relationship, trust, and communications, the animal shelter expansion. We've got a number of community outreach events that I'll talk about here in just a couple of minutes. Again, Public Safety Training Center, our focus on violent crime. So how can you help the police? Remove your valuables, remove your guns, always stay vigilant and be aware of your surroundings. If you see something, say something. Please call us and turn on your porch lights. No criminal likes to be seen on a video camera or in lights. They just don't like it. So turn your lights on. Here's some upcoming events. Tonight, 6 o'clock, we'll graduate our most recent Citizens Police Academy. It's been a great class as well. We're going to do something different. So there's a nationwide effort. It's called Faith in Blue. And we sent out over 200 letters to invite pastors of our local community churches to just sit down, break bread with us, have a conversation. We're going to do that Monday nights, Columbus Day, from 6 to 7:30. On Tuesday, the Temple ISD is hosting kind of a come and go reception for our officers, just as a way of thanking them for the partnership. And then at 6 p.m., we'll be formally recognized. They've added our name to the plaque, the Friends of TISD, in their main entranceway in the administration, if you haven't seen that. And then on the 11th, we'll host our Citizens Police Advisory Council again, our monthly meeting. And what you get in these presentations is almost exactly what I present to them. Maybe a little bit more details. I took some things out because I really wanted to focus on the crime stuff. Of course, a number of kiddo card events. Those are very popular. Officer Blue. This was our Tippecop event at Texas Roadhouse. That's some of the filming that was done by Epic. Officer Blue always has a great summer. We do a number of camps, school camps, tours. We do involved in Special Olympics, Officer Memorial. And who doesn't like donuts? And I'm happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
Then bring Officer Blue.
Or
And now it's
Delma.
gonna be a competition.
Always is. Always.
Now that I know. Bye.
You have to get me on it.
So next quarter, we'll see Officer Blue.
If I can get it scheduled, you bet. I'll bring a horse up here.
The elevator will be a
Don't be
challenge.
It'll be a mess.
Yeah, it may take me a few months to put together 101 Dalmatians. So.
Just a question on the crime. I didn't see the map of the different areas of the city where it might be more prevalent to other parts of the city. Is there, or is it just all over?
Well, it just depends on what crime categories you're talking about. I could get you a map. I would tell you that I would tell you just deductively, most of our shooting incidents are from the east side of town. And all the other crime categories are probably all over. But for the violent crime, we typically have seen that on the east side.
There was a lot of activity for a while on the east side over by what is the name of that store that's just over the overpass?
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Has that calmed down a little bit or?
They've all kind of calmed down a little bit. So that big, if you remember the first 4 months, I was issuing a press release almost nightly of shots fired, and shots fired calls can be like when dove season hits. I mean, it lights up, and we get it. But the ones we were seeing were actually the two groups that we've discussed in the past, kind of going back and forth to tasks.
They're identified and.
We've got them identified, but one of the things we see in violent crime cases that makes them so hard to clear is we don't even get a lot of cooperation sometimes from the victims.
Yeah.
They know who did what, they know who shot them or who hurt them, but them or their family members won't let them discuss.
What about gangs?
Yep, we got them.
You know?
Yes, ma'am. Well, we know from historically, we've had KWA killers with aggression. The shooting instance that we were dealing with was a new kind of startup. It's called NOPSide, NAWF. It's supposed to be North Side, but it's just different. NOPSide, kind of going back and forth a little bit, if you will. In 2020, we arrested numerous gang members. If you remember, there's a big press conference that we held in partnership with, and a lot of that was all the way back to 2018 that we were trying to address. Oftentimes what you can see is when you dismantle an organization, it can create a vacuum in the structure, right? So then you have the competition for who's going to fill the next available seat. And then you had another group, and what they were going back and forth was disrespecting song lyrics, fighting over girls, girlfriends. Just doesn't intuitively make a lot of sense. But that's what this is going. But we've seen a dramatic decrease in those as soon as I say that.
Do they have connections to national gangs, or is this more just local gangs?
I would consider it kind of a hybrid gang. And hybrids can be the most dangerous sometimes because they feel like they have to prove so much more to be accepted, I guess, in the culture. We see some common themes, similar to what we've seen on the national level. But these are really kind of homegrown organizations. As best that I can do. Our folks are working really, really hard, and I want you to know that. But we also want to thank you for all your support and that you've provided. It's been phenomenal. We feel it. I feel it. But we're working, folks. We're really hard. So thanks for all your support. I appreciate it.
I just want to say thank you for seeing the presence of our police and officers all the time. Always very friendly. I think they're making an impact, especially in some of the housing units, especially like the old Women Manor, Ramada Inn.
They're not as far.
Yeah, those are making a big difference. So thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
For everybody who are in the room who was not at the TEF banquet last night, the announcer moderator made a big point of thanking Chief and asking Chief if Chief ever went home, because you're seen everywhere, you and your staff, and that's just so noticed, like Judy says, it's so noticed.
Thank you very much. One of the things I believe is that presence matters. So when folks invite me places, I absolutely try and go. I won't be able to make them all, but I do try. And so, thank you.
They know it.
Yeah, I appreciate
They
it.
really know it. I
So
mean,
does my wife.
He was there
She loves you.
this morning at the meeting, so, yeah, he is everywhere.
Quick point, Chief alluded to a minute ago, about crime being down, but, public awareness and transparency from the city is up. And so the original spreadsheets that Chief put together, at my request, where I was doing our town interview, and what Dave Stone said, he said, I want to specifically talk to you about the increase in crime around town. And whenever I was able to slide those documents across the table where he saw all the decreases, but the increase in transparency, it really made a difference in his mindset. And so whenever you have the CJs and, the different people around saying what they see from way outside of the organization, be sure and have some stuff with you to be able to say, no, actually, this is the case. And something to slide across the table. It really makes a difference. And also props up those guys to confirm the good job that they're doing. So be sure, we need to be sure and get that info to everybody.
Cheat sheet.
Thank you, gentlemen. Nancy, thank you.
You bet.
And at this time, we will enter into,
Mayor, we had one other item.
oh, I'm sorry, governance. You want to skip that?
And can I go back to the first item, the Village at Meadowbend? I was listening in as I was driving. I apologize for being late. I just wanted to be really clear. I think that the one reason we wanted them to come back and make a presentation to you again is because the way that they have structured their partnership. If you approve the items on the agenda this evening, that property will become tax exempt, property tax exempt. Right now, it's not. So we just wanted to be very clear that was part of the package. It's very similar to what we did a couple of years ago in supporting the former Wayman Manor, now Granada Square. Very similar. They partnered with a public housing authority, which made that property go from taxable to non-taxable. Staff recommends supporting the project. The impact of moving to a tax exempt status, we think is not as impactful as the difference that it will make to have enhanced affordable housing. You'll probably recall during Winter Storm Uri that property was offline the longest with multiple plumbing issues. So having some significant investment in that property, I think would be very meaningful. But I did just want to be very clear and transparent that, and I didn't hear them say that this afternoon. I may have missed it, but I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that.
It's good to know.
they're putting in averaging 79,000 renovation per unit.
Yes, ma'am.
It's really rather extraordinary.
Yes.
And I think there will be addressing the affordable housing for people that need it,
Yes, ma'am.
because they're not gonna go market rate.
That's right. It'll be 100% affordable.
So staff is recommending support.
We are.
Is that property, crime problem like Wayman Manor was?
No, not to the same extent. It does have some issues, but if you remember during Snowmageddon, that is the place where we provided 2 water buffaloes for multiple months. So it's, from my perspective, that's a very needed improvement.
All right, very good. So do we want to, it looks like you're passing out the governance.
I really want to get this done.
But if we want to wait, I really just I needed one direction on one more item, and then I think you all just wanted one more opportunity to have a couple of weeks to read through everything. The outstanding item, that I need, direction on is the, on page 6, item K there, communications with applicants or petitioners. We had some discussion about that a couple of weeks ago. Y'all, I think needed some time to think about that. So I just need some direction on whether you want to keep that in there, change that in some way, or completely remove it. And then if there were anything else that needed attention before we brought this back at your next meeting for consideration.
Could it be made simple? If staff feels like something like that's important, could it be made simple and just require a verbal disclosure at the meeting versus something in writing?
Verbal disclosure at the regular council meeting where it's going to be voted on.
Yeah, just to say, hey, I've talked to so-and-so about this versus the formality of putting it in writing.
We'll have
I've
to
forgotten
add
to
30
do that.
minutes to the meeting.
Hmm?
Add 30 minutes to the meetings for all the verbal disclosures.
Could you do it in writing or verbally? So someone preferred to just submit it in writing or verbally at the meeting, would that be acceptable?
But it's just communication, not detail.
Right,
So,
disclosing that you had a conversation.
it could also be at the workshop instead of the meeting. Any workshop.
Just don't make it too restrictive.
But really the idea is just for you all to alert each other. I've talked to the applicant or the owner or whoever. And then some of you may have a question about that. Oh, I was wondering about that. That would help us to know, or.
That's good for workshops then.
Was there any other items that you wanted to revisit? And are you ready for this to come forward for consideration?
Just 2 more weeks.
Because it could be, that item could be part of just number 1. Any discuss as needed, any agenda items, and any disclosures related to those items or something like that.
Mayor, meaning that it can be on the agenda for
Meaning to be on
approval?
the agenda,
You can always pull it if you need to.
yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
I'm sorry, there's some kind of,
Read through this between now and the next meeting, read through this, and if there's anything that you don't like or you want further discussion, be prepared at the next workshop to do that.
well, this is from the last one. Yeah.
Okay,
Someone has it on their home.
right here, this guy.
My smart sheet for this item is going red.
Oh, no,
So-
not the smart sheet.
Thank you. So I need to move it along.
Guys?
So I need we can take as much time as.
Carry on.
All right, very good. Then let's move on to item 5, which pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.087, the city council meets home session. Discuss, deliberate commercial or financial information received from business prospects, government, have located, stay,